미디어 프로젝트 14주 3차 시간을 시작하겠습니다. 이번 시간에는 기하급수적 기술 발전과 그 적용에 대해서 알아보도록 하겠습니다. 로보틱스에 대한 전문가의 강의를 들어보겠습니다.
We also have things like more complex manufacturing environments, and by that I mean manufacturing environments with people in them. So the fact that I have a person working next to me ultimately will not be a problem for these more adaptable robots.
로봇이 어댑터블해지면 더 많은 산업에서 적용이 가능해집니다. 더 복잡한 제조 환경에서 가능해지고 농업과 건설과 마이닝과 에너지에서 활용이 가능합니다.
So speaking of that, the question of can robots interact with people? This is the Tesla plant in Fremont, was just brought online in 2014. And what's the missing thing in this picture?
이것은 2014년 테슬라 공장입니다. 로봇과 사람이 같이 일할 수 있는 것이 차세대 공장의 모델입니다.
People, right? There actually is one person, but she's wearing a red shirt, and so it's hard to see among the red robots, right? But these are big robots that actually have to be caged off from people, right? Instead of being at the zoo with the animals caged, right? The people are effectively caged off from the robots.
이것은 상당히 큰 로봇인데 동물원처럼 케이지로 보호를 합니다.
And so ultimately what we want to do, if we want to augment human ability, if we want to augment human physical ability in things like manufacturing, we need robots to be able to work alongside people.
우리가 원하는 것은 로봇이 사람과 함께 나란히 일을 할 수 있는 것입니다.
And so this is Baxter, which you saw earlier. And one of the coolest things about Baxter is that this guy is actually touching Baxter, right? He's actually moving Baxter's arm, and in fact, programming Baxter what to do based on how he's moving the arm.
이 사람은 백스터의 로봇 아움을 움직여서 어떻게 해야 될지를 가르쳐주고 있습니다.
Right? A lot like you'd take your kid and you'd say, okay, you pick up your fork and then you stab it into this and you eat it, right? And you move their hand through the whole process.
이것은 마치 어린아이들에게 포크와 나이프를 가르쳐주는 것과 유사합니다.
Like this is how you can program a robot if you can touch it. Right? So creating robots that are touchable, that can interact physically with humans is a game changer.
이런 식으로 로봇을 교육할 수 있다면 산업에서 게임 체인저가 될 수 있습니다.
In the world of manufacturing and the world of programming, right? This is actually a fairly low-cost robot at $25,000. But I can make things even more low-cost, ultimately. This one is about $20K from Universal Robots, and this is actually in a manufacturing environment. They're making medical devices.
이 회사 경우에는 로봇을 이용해서 메디컬 디바이스를 만들고 있습니다.
And the idea of being able to have people and robots located right next to each other, and in fact physically interacting, ultimately means that I can take a room much smaller than this, put a bunch of robots in there that are relatively low cost, put a bunch of people in there, and create my own manufacturing system, right? At much lower cost than has traditionally been able to.
하이 퍼포먼스의 로우 코스트 로봇을 이용해서 공장을 만드는 것이 이전보다 훨씬 쉬워졌습니다.
So you can actually have hardware startups now instead of just software startups.
이제는 소프트웨어 스타트업뿐 아니라 하드웨어 스타트업도 만들 수 있습니다.
You can make things much quicker and easier with robots. And you can make them even cheaper if you change the materials that you're using and the actuation. So in this case, what you see is an entirely soft robot made out of fabric and air from Nubotics.
소프트웨어 물질로 아주 낮은 가격에 로봇을 만들 수도 있습니다.
Right? And soft robotics, though, this thing costs about $200. It's incredibly cheap. So if I can solve the problem of making these more precise and more repeatable,
이러한 로봇은 200불 정도밖에 안 들기 때문에 더 프리사이즈하고 리피터블하게 하면 산업에 큰 영향을 줄 것입니다.
this is becoming such a thing in the robotics world of creating these soft robots that we have these floppy systems. So this is a soft robot actuator that's made from the soft robotics toolkit that you can look up online.
이것은 여러분들이 온라인에서 살 수 있는 소프트웨어 로보틱 툴킷입니다.
And if I inflate that with air, right, so you can see it's more rigid now and it's curling up, right? And it can actually grab something, or you can imagine a much larger version of this. Since we are in South Africa, I can say this is very much like an elephant trunk.
우리가 이것을 크게 만들면 남아프리카에 있는 코끼리 코 같은 역할을 할 수도 있을 것입니다.
Right? So you can think about all the crazy cool things you could do if you had an elephant trunk that cost a couple $100, right? In terms of manufacturing, in terms of all sorts of things.
불과 수백 달러로 코끼리 코가 할 수 있는 일들을 한다면 여러 가지 크레이지한 아이디어를 해볼 수 있을 것입니다.
So actually, if I don't kill you, I'll throw this out to you. You can pass it around. They're cheap enough that I don't care if I lose a couple. You guys can pass it. It's in the other direction there. All right, so soft robots, I think, are a really exciting direction for manufacturing, but they're also an exciting direction for other things if we can figure out this sensing problem. And in fact,
소프트 로봇도 흥미롭지만 소프트 센서는 대단히 흥미롭습니다.
my group, my lab, works on a lot of soft sensing. So I have some soft sensors right here. The idea is being able to detect kind of strains or pressures, but all with a very soft substrate that would work with these soft robots.
목표는 아주 부드러운 물질로 스트레인이나 프레셔를 감지해내는 것입니다.
Once I know where my arm is in space, I can make things much more repeatable in the leg.
팔의 위치가 어디 있는지를 알면 동작을 훨씬 리피터블하게 할 수 있습니다.
So there's a lot of interesting work in this area happening as well. And it's good for things beyond just manufacturing, right? So we can think about soft robots. The real innovation is being able to interact physically with people.
소프트 로봇의 장점은 사람과 물리적으로 상호작용할 수 있는 것입니다.
And so if I think of trying to teach a kid how to walk who has some kind of neural disability, or I think of trying to teach an elderly person how to walk after they've had a stroke, a good way to do that is through a robotic exoskeleton.
장애가 있는 아이나 어른에게 걷는 것을 가르칠 때는 엑소스켈레톤이 아주 좋은 방법입니다.
But Iron Man is a little too rigid, right? If I take away the iron and add rubber, it's a much more inviting thing to wear, rubber or fabric.
아이언맨의 수트는 너무 딱딱합니다. 러버로 만들 수 있다면 입기에 훨씬 편할 것입니다.
Right, so I can think about both augmenting humans in a manufacturing context and some other kind of work context, or I can think of the healthcare benefits of this.
이러한 엑소스켈레톤은 작업장에서 사용할 수도 있고 헬스케어에서 사용할 수도 있습니다.
Ultimately, there's some incredible possibilities, but once again, enabled only once robots can physically interact with people, or people can physically interact with robots.
놀라운 많은 가능성들이 있는데 로봇과 사람이 인터랙션을 할 때만 가능해집니다.
But really, the key point, I think, in addition to these robots of our imagination being able to interact with us physically, is that they can also interact with us socially.
인터랙션에서 중요한 것은 소셜리 인터랙션 하는 것입니다.
And so you have a lot of really fascinating robotics research. This is older from Cynthia Brazil at MIT, and she's introducing Leo here to Elmo.
이것은 MIT에서 수행한 소셜 크리에이처 연구인데 리오를 엘모에게 소개시켜주고 있습니다.
For the first time from Sesame Street. My kids would love this. So he's showing, oh, Elmo, and you can kind of see the facial expressions that Leo is making, and I want Elmo. Elmo looks awesome, right? And so being able to pick up on these social cues, as you just saw, but being able to express them yourself as a robot is another huge part of being able to interact with people.
이때 리오는 얼굴 표정과 몸짓을 통해서 자신이 원하는 것을 드러내고 있습니다.
Robots also allow us to show up in places where we can't otherwise go. You may remember the US government was shut down a couple years ago, so the NASA CIO had to show up on a telerobot, right? Telepresence robot. So it's basically an iPad on wheels.
지금 보이는 텔레프레전스 로봇은 아이패드에 바퀴를 단 것입니다.
So if we look at some of the innovation in this area, this was a big program announced in February in the US called the Advanced Robot Manufacturing Initiative.
ARM은 Advanced Robotic Manufacturing의 약자로 많은 대학과 회사들이 참여해서 만들어진 단체입니다. 미래의 로보틱스와 AI, 3D 프린팅을 사용해서 새로운 방식의 매니팩처링을 만드는 것이 목표입니다.
Through this slide is there's a lot of interest in the US in taking robots that can work with people to basically lower the cost of manufacturing in the US and enable more complex manufacturing with human capital. So effectively, once again, extending and augmenting human physical capabilities.
로봇이 사람과 함께 일을 할 수 있으면 코스트를 낮출 수 있고 훨씬 복잡한 일들을 해낼 수 있습니다.
So soft, social, safer robots ultimately mean that robots can interact with you and I, right? We can touch them, we can socially interact with them. And there are many, many implications of that ultimately, especially around ethics and the like, and jobs.
소프트하고 소셜한 로봇으로 인간과 인터랙션을 할 수 있습니다.
So finally, I want to talk a little bit about autonomy in robots. So this is enabled really dramatically by the artificial intelligence that you just heard about, but obviously there's a lot of reasons why we might want to take a human out of the application, out of the particular environment, like texting while driving and the like. So really the way that this is enabled is through the better ability of a robot to perceive its environment.
로봇이 자율성을 가지게 된 데에는 인공지능의 발전 때문이기도 하지만 주변 환경을 잘 인지할 수 있게 되었기 때문입니다.
I would also add understand its environment, but that's a somewhat loaded term. At least kind of parse into categories some of the things in its environment. So this is an autonomous vehicle driving down the street. This is what the algorithm would ultimately spit out.
이것은 자율주행 자동차에서 알고리즘의 아웃풋입니다.
So you have things to worry about. So the person walking across the street, along with the vectors showing you which direction that they're walking in.
빨간색으로 사람을 표시하고 있고 노란색으로 움직이는 벡터를 표시하고 있습니다.
So red, warning, pay attention to this thing. Orange with the car driving through. It's also able to know this is a car, this is a person. And then a lot of the clutter in the background, like the trees, stop signs, that sort of thing. Although it is able to detect this is a stop sign.
그 밖에도 배경, 다른 차, 스톱 사인 등을 인지합니다.
The way Amazon tries to tackle that, in part at least, is through drones. Right? And this is often the direction people start thinking of when they think of robotics. And you just saw a drone here. We're going to get to see drone racing in the future, so creating an entirely new category of sport. But drones have incredibly useful applications.
아마존은 드론을 사용해서 소비자에게 물건을 배달하려고 합니다. 드론은 다른 목적으로도 유용하게 쓰일 수 있습니다.
Especially in areas where infrastructure, traditional infrastructure, is hard. Right? So Maryland's actually affiliated with this test site in southern Maryland, which is, there's a Chesapeake Bay is between DC and southern Maryland, and flying medical supplies across, for example.
도로와 같은 인프라스트럭처가 좋지 않을 경우에 드론을 이용해서 메디컬 서플라이를 할 수 있습니다.
Agricultural applications, attaching a hyperspectral camera to a drone and understanding how your crops are doing at any particular time, what you need to be doing to them.
농업 분야에서는 드론에 카메라를 달아서 작물의 상태를 촬영할 수 있습니다.
Right, there's a lot of stuff there. Inspection. I get a lot of questions from energy companies about using drones for inspection tasks, and this is a whole area that's starting to come up in great detail.
에너지 분야에서는 드론을 사용해서 인스펙션을 하는 등 많은 어플리케이션들이 있습니다.
And then this is one of the examples that I like from the African continent. So this is a friend of mine was a technical advisor for this company called Zipline.
집 라인은 아프리카에서 드론을 사용해서 메디컬 서플라이를 하고 있습니다.
And what you saw them do right there is package up some blood, and they put that carrier on this fixed wing drone, so it looks like a little airplane basically, and launch it. And the idea is being able to solve some of the infrastructure challenges, leapfrog some of those infrastructure challenges with drones, and be able to drop off your cargo at its destination. It deploys a little parachute, right? And there goes the blood, basically being dropped by the medical
드론을 사용해서 수혈할 피를 전달합니다.
supply where it was needed. And this is deployed. This is actually happening right now in Rwanda. Right? They actually launch this. One of the cool things, one of the reasons it's called zipline, is if you see the landing right here, it actually gets caught by a little line there. It's like landing onto a carrier.
랜딩을 하는데도 많은 공간이 필요하지 않습니다.
And they do this so they don't need the infrastructure of a runway even, right? They can just launch this thing and capture it when it returns. They have all these fancy designs, fancy architects that they've hired to create these drone depots at various locations as well, which is very cool.
어펜딕스입니다. 지금까지 시청하신 것으로 이번 차수 수업이 인정됩니다. 로봇 애니멀스에 대한 동영상을 보도록 하겠습니다.
Technology has really come a long way, and a great way to see it is through the creation of robots. We've all played with remote-controlled cars at some point, and a lot of us today have drones. These pretty much represent the basic concept of robotics. They are machines that perform tasks as they follow our instructions. But what we see in stores doesn't even compare to what is happening inside the labs around the world. Every day, groups of engineers come together trying to find ways to develop further robotic projects, but a lot of them are inspired by things in nature. On that note, today I'll be showing you 10 amazing robotic animals. Some of them can be easily mistaken for a real animal. And stay tuned all the way to number 1 and see how far technology has come. Number 10. Smart Bird.
Take your seatbelts on. Maybe we try it once to fly Smartbird.
The Smart Bird is an ornithopter, which is pretty much an aircraft with flapping wings. It was designed by Festo's Bionic Learning Network. The Smart Bird can take off, fly, and land by itself, which makes it a very autonomous robot. It's one of the robots that best imitates the flight of real birds. Its wings, in fact, not only flap, but can even twist. An electrical motor in its body allows its wings to move in a vertical way. When you look at it, the Smart Bird can fly almost as perfectly as an actual bird. From afar, you might think it's even a real one. The Smart Bird is a robot that can help researchers understand the bird's flight better, and even improve the way in which airplanes can be designed. It can also help in the further development of drone technology and other flying robots in the future. Number 9. The Bionic Ant. The Smart Bird is not the only robot that Festo has created. They are actually one of the leading companies in the development of robotic animals. Next on this list, I have another one of Festo's creations, a swarm of bionic ants. These ants that are 13 centimeters long have been designed like real ants, not only on the outside, but also in their behavioral patterns. These ants can communicate with each other to carry on tasks as a community. They come up with a small camera within the eye region and some monitors which allow them to move and perform. They have 2 batteries that allow them to function wirelessly for up to 40 minutes. If the battery runs out, they can step on the dock and recharge through their antennas. Number 8. The Bionic Copter.
The dragonfly can recharge the battery by eating 200 flies with it.
And once again, another creation by Festo. I really want to introduce you to other companies, but the team at Festo is just so good at making robotic animals and the such. The Bionicopter is one of the most efficient flying robots due to the fact that it is more maneuverable than the others. It's also known as the Dragonfly robot. Although with a body of 19 inches long, it's quite larger than the real insect. However, this robot moves its wings just like the creature that inspired it. This robot can fly to the front, to the back, and make an abrupt stop in midair. The Bionicopter is a great example of what wireless communication can become. This robot can follow commands in real time thanks to its sensors that allow it to assess its surroundings at the same time it receives instructions. This robot is not only smart and efficient, but also very good looking. Its body is covered in blue polyester, which makes it a very beautiful and elegant robot. Number 7. The Bionic Kangaroo.
See here the bionic kangaroo, which is inspired by the real.
When you think of kangaroos, the first thing that might come to your mind is Australia. But also the way they jump from place to place. Maybe kick. And have their young in their pouch. Okay, there's a lot of things here. With the bionic kangaroo, the creators have implemented a mechanism of repercussion that allows the robot to recover, store, and use energy with every jump. Just like a real one. The bionic kangaroo is smaller than the real one, and is controlled through an armband that tracks the arm gestures of its bearer so the kangaroo knows where and when to hop. This robot, however, is not meant for you to have at home, so don't expect to see it in stores yet. Festo designed it with the hopes of finding ways to use energy more efficiently in the creation of new tools. Since having a pet kangaroo is not really a thing, I do hope they sell this robot to us one day. Number 6. Butterfly Robots. The butterfly robots, also made by Festo, are one of the lightest robots in existence. They only weigh 32 grams, which is as light as a light bulb. That includes a set of batteries that allows them to stay on for 15 minutes, and a GPS system that helps coordinate their flight. They are kept and tracked in a room with 10 cameras that monitors and guides their flight, which is pretty impressive. They say you can easily mistake one of these robots for a real one even. The creation of butterfly robots opens the way for the creation of small, light, and efficient robotic structures. Festo is really down to create some impressive stuff. Seriously though, is there going to be any other company on this list that isn't Festo? Well, let's find out. Number 5. Spot the commercial robot. Oh hey, what do you know, it's not Festo for the first time, this is Boston Dynamics. Alongside Festo, Boston Dynamics is another company responsible for the creation of robots that make us feel like we're about to enter the Terminator era. They developed the Spot Mini, now called Spot, which is a dog-like robot able to perform tasks for its owners. It can climb stairs and move through very narrow spaces where someone wouldn't be able to. It has a set of cameras and sensors that allow it to move through different terrains while avoiding different obstacles and people. Spot is also resistant to harsh weather conditions, and it even has a crash protection system that keeps it safe. More importantly, Spot is one of the first robotic animals with such features to go into the marketplace. Its price, however, does vary. They say it's pretty much like buying a car. You can either buy just a bare-bones structure you can customize, or you can get a fully functional version to which you don't have to put a lot of work in. However, don't expect Spot to walk to your fridge and hand you a beer or change the oil of your car with just the push of a button. Spot owners need to understand what they want in order to program the robot accordingly. Don't think of it as just a robotic pet. It's honestly more of a project. Number 4. Snakebot. Snakes are probably some of the scariest animals out there, but when it comes to the world of robotics, snakes are proven to be very useful and friendly. On this list, I'm not going to choose a specific type of snakebot, but instead I'll introduce you to them as a whole. After all, they all share some common features that make them unique amongst other robots. Snakebots can be as big as a 4-story building, which is the case of one developed by Syntef. Or they can be small and thin enough to enter tissues in the human body, like the medical snakebot developed by Carnegie Mellon University. What these robots have in common is that their ability to get through narrow spaces and transform their bodies to perform their tasks. They are built in chains with independent skills, which allow them to keep functioning even if a part of their body gets damaged. Number 3. Cheetah Robot. Cheetahs are known to be the fastest animals in the world, reaching speeds of about 110 to 120 kilometers per hour and keeping it steady for up to 500 meters. It comes as no surprise that the robotic equivalent is also a very fast robot. The Cheetah robot, developed at the labs of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, can reach a speed of about 45 kilometers per hour. Although it might not be as fast as a real cheetah, it is faster than Usain Bolt, the fastest man on Earth. The Cheetah robot is equipped with sensors that allow it to assess its environment and avoid any obstacles. During lab tests, the Cheetah robot has been able to identify and jump over a series of multiple obstacles of 40 centimeters high, which are double the size of the robot. Heck, it doesn't even need cameras to accomplish that. This robot has always been able to plan its jumps and adjust accordingly, even when it was only a meter away from the obstacle. It seems like this is one not only a fast robot, but also a very smart one. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Today's picture is one of a fascinating bird robot, a very colorful and elegant robotic willy wagtail. Its captivating metallic colors and sharp wings make it look like a bird from the future, and I'd definitely like to have one of these in my backyard. While this amazing robot seems like the kind of robot you'd like to have at home, this robot is not real. It's only a Photoshop work of art by an Australian artist named Anthony Hersey. That guy is actually pretty talented. It's through works like these that robotic engineers can envision their future creations before starting to work on them. However, at the top of the list, I have two robots that definitely make me wonder what the future of robotics will look like. Number 2. Miro. Miro, which is an acronym for Marine Intelligence Robot, is a South Korean invention by the company Aero Inc. This fish robot has 2 motors and multiple sensors that will allow it to swim in all directions and can dive as deep as 50 meters underwater. This robot is so intelligent that it can swim next to sharks without any issue. The Miro fish has been seen performing stunts like moonwalk swimming and LED light self-luminance. This fish has been shown at different events throughout Asia with an array of customizable skins. The technology behind Miro is so impressive that with 10 hours per charge, its battery lasts longer than in other robots. Although Miro is a big step in the world of artificial intelligence, this robot can also be remote controlled with a camera attached to it.
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it, it really works.
Number 1. BBC Spy Robots.
When I started filming The Spies, we just had a video camera, and that was the very start of video cameras. HD cams had just come in.
Technology has made huge advancements over the last couple of years, but no other robot on this list compares to the one used by the BBC and other major networks to spy on wild animals. For decades, animatronics have been used in film and television for the sake of special effects and to recreate moments that would be impossible to film with a real animal. These kinds of examples are those scenes where the shark attacks people in Jaws, or those birds that came to visit Mary Poppins back in 1964. However, animatronics have also made possible for documentary filmmakers to get closer to the animals and spy on their world. That's something that would be impossible if the filmmaker were to casually step into their habitat with a camera. It all started a while ago when director John Downer decided to hide a camera inside a moving rock to spy on a pride of lions. He called this rock the Boulder Cam, and the idea was reproduced on many occasions. It was no longer just a camera inside a rock, but a camera inside a robotic animal. He was even able to catch some dolphins getting high on the toxins of a pufferfish. All these events would have been hard to capture otherwise, as these are moments that the animals like to share in their intimacy, far away from humans. Does that just mean we're creepers as humans then? Either way, today the world of spy robots has reached a whole new level by bringing together the worlds of biology, zoology, arts, and robotics to create animal robots that look exactly the same as the real ones. Animals are often very smart at distinguishing real from robot animals, but the latest efforts have made robots look as real as they can be and can easily blend with their surroundings. Thanks to these spies, we can now study and understand animals even better.